Hello friends, welcome to the Ekalavya University. Today we are taking up the chapter number 7 in Java chapter John JCKit. This is arrays. Actually, this is the first chapter in JCZ module 2. Already we have studied the chapters in the module 1. I think you might have observed that all those concepts are just similar to C language. For example, Java basic elements, operators, selection control structures, loop control structures, Java methods, etc. Concepts are just similar to C language. That's why every time I assert on one fact, if you are really good at C language, learning advanced languages like C++, Java, C Sharp, etc. are like a cakewalk, because C language contributes building blocks for all these languages. That's why every time I am telling all the software career aspirants, first study C, thereafter proceed to advanced languages. 80% of the module, the concepts in the module 1 are just similar to C language. Just one study is enough for you to master it. And the command over those concepts is very essential to master and understand and master all these concepts, which we are going to discuss in this module and the forthcoming modules. Actually, module 2, in the module 2 of JCZ, we are totally focusing on object orientation. This object orientation is totally different from function orientation. That's why each and every concept in object oriented programming you must learn, master and own it. Don't go randomly and don't go selectively. Study each and every concept and own it, then proceed to the next. That is every time I give this common advice being a mentor. First, what is the test for that? After studying one concept, always follow this approach, a wrap. This you don't forget. That is, watch. After watching lecture, it is like attending class. Thereafter, read. Reading is a very natural habit that you should not avoid. You should not be lazy. So, after that, read. Any gaps are there in your watching, then those are filled. So, and practice. Whatever programs are there and all that, then and there you have to practice. Then only this is the formula of owning a concept. This approach enables you to master the concept, that always you remember and then proceed. Okay, now let us take up the first concept, 7.1, array introduction. So far we have been storing data in variables. Variable is a named memory location in which a value of the type can be stored. Here, for example, let us take one variable age. Its type is byte. So, this is a memory location in which you can store a value of type byte. So, I am storing a value that is 20. It is byte type constant, or simply called as integer type constant. So, in the same manner, another variable I am creating, This is height. Its type is float. It is 4 bytes. In this, you are storing your height. In this way, comfortably, we can store single value. But what is the limitation of this? If you assign another value, suppose 21, this is 20 is replaced by 21. Suppose you have given 5.5, then 5.4 is replaced by 5.5. By that, what you can understand, we can always store only one value in a variable. If you reassign any other value, it replaces the existing value. We cannot retrieve the old values. That is the basic limitation of a variable. Only single value, that is the latest value, whatever we have given, we can store. In Java supports 8 primitive types. As you know, they are byte, short, int, long, float, double, character, and boolean. So, all these variables can be created using one of the types, one of the 8 types. So, in byte type, we can store only byte. In float type, we can store only float constant. That point you have to remember. So, it is not an issue. Whenever you have to store a single value and all that, variable is the right container. You have to understand it. It is a data container. In this container, you can store. But in real world, very frequently, we have to deal with a set of values. For example, your mark list. You have 5 papers in your exams. So, you will have 5 marks belong to 5 papers. So, then what is the alternatives for you? Only alternative, as on the day, you can create 5 different variables like marks 1, marks 2, marks 3, marks 4, marks 5. Suppose if you have to store the ages of 60 students of a class, then 60 individual variables you have to create. It is not at all a good idea, because 60 variables, suppose 1000 elements are there, 1000 variables you have to create. This is very laborious as well as error prone idea. So, that we don't choose. And one more thing also, you have 5 papers and 5 marks are there, but you call them as mark list. Mark list is, you never use mark list R. Why? You want to store them as one unit, because you want a different container. This container variable can store only one value. Then 5 individual variables you have to define. This is very laborious and error prone activity. That's why you want to store in such a data structure. This is also, data structure is also a container. That point you must understand. But what is the advantage of creating a data structure? Here all your marks you are storing in this manner: 55, 62, 71, 49, 56. Now all marks you are storing in one container, and you are calling it as a mark list. And but in this same type of elements you can store. Understand? Because its type is int. So, only integer type elements you can store. For this purpose, Java provides us a simple data structure, very easy to use data structure and a very efficient data structure called array. So, an array stores a set of elements in contiguous memory locations with a common name and with a common type. That we have to understand. But there is a lot of difference between C array and Java array. C array is an ordinary array like this and all, but Java array is a reference type, and we have to understand it differently. Little later, I will explain the difference. And first, let us study the definition of an array. Array is unordered sequence of elements. Actually, in array, order of elements need not be a sequence. Any order you can store. It is not sorted array. So, unordered set of elements, and all such elements must be of the same type. Suppose this is integer array. You can store only integer values. Some other floating point array is there. You can store only floating point values. So, for entire array, one type is there. Here, if you take a variable, this is byte type. You can store only byte value. This is float type. You can store only float value. If we extend the concept, if it is integer array, you can store only integer type elements. All elements must belong to same type, and all such elements are stored in contiguous memory locations. Actually, a block of memory on heap is allocated, and those are adjacent bytes. In that, all elements are stored, and we can access the individual elements using an integer index. Actually, for every element, one index is there, that is integer index. It may be either 0 or positive value, and using that index we can access the elements. So, the 4 points you must remember. The first one is an array is unordered set of elements. The second one is all the elements must belong to same type. The third one is all the elements are stored in adjacent blocks, contiguous blocks of memory on the heap. And the fourth one, in order to access elements, we have to use the corresponding index or subscript. These are the basic points for an array. As far as Java array is concerned, it is reference type, not primitive type. Actually, in that array, only primitive elements are there also. It is reference type only. It is not primitive type. This, in order to understand this point, we have to study deeper. First, I introduce that point. Thereafter, in the forthcoming topics, you can I will explain it deeper. Then you can understand that. And one more thing I am telling you, in object-oriented concepts, in some cases, you may not understand in the first instance. So, you just wait, and in the forthcoming concepts, while you are advancing, you can understand it better. So, I want to show you it is a reference type. For that purpose, two types of arrays I am showing. The first type of array of primitives. Now, you see your mark list. Now, this is our mark list. This is like your C array only. Okay. Now, it is stored on the heap. On heap, we cannot give any names. That's why a reference type is required. This is primitive type elements are there in the element, are in the array, even though it is treated as a reference type. So, in this way, we have to create a reference variable. Thereafter, the reference variable should point to array. Okay. So, this is array of primitives. Now, array of references I show you. Already I explained to you, a string is an object. String is a class. Whatever variables we create and all that, string type objects. Now, you see, here a team is there. A team is there. In that, 5 people are there: Mohan, Basha, Joseph, Nakul, and Kiran. Five team members are there. And now, as these are object and all that, we must create a reference to that. Now, all those references we stored in array. Actually, this is an array which holds the references of 5 individual string type objects. Now, this team is a reference to this. Form a mental picture. It is a little difficult for novices to understand. First, to form a mental picture. Gradually, you can understand its scenario because it's totally different from C. In C, simply we build array like this. Here, the structure is like this. This is array of primitives and array of references. First, you form a mental picture. Thereafter, in forthcoming chapters, I will give you a detailed explanation about all this.